We are live. I'm going to make you host, so kindly make me co-host.
Sure. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. This is Twee.
Hi, Twee. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Nancy and Jean.
Hello.
I miss a lot of good class from you because I'm so busy.
Oh, no.
I know.
Well, I guess it's good to be busy. Okay. There's Jane. Give it a few minutes for everybody to get in. Okay. Hope everybody is having a good week so far.
So far,
So far, so good.
Great. And I will do my best to speak as loud as I can today. I've got a little bit of laryngitis, so.
No problem. We can increase the volume.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay. Do want to let everybody know. In fact, she just popped something in the chat. My colleague Rachel is here and will be available to help you with any issues you might be having with Zoom. If you have any snags with the technology or anything like that, just give her a holler in the chat. And she'll also be helping me field any questions that come in either via the chat, or I'll also be definitely encouraging you to ask questions as we go along today. This should be a pretty fun class. Hi, Leslie. Okay, I think I'll go ahead and get us started. There may be a couple of other people popping in here, but welcome to everybody. And this class should be a real eye-opener for you if you've never tried to expand on the capabilities of your smartphone or on the camera on your smartphone. So we're going to talk about some lens attachments that you can get. And I think most everybody has been in one of my classes before, but just in case, and we are live streaming. So for those of you who are following via live stream, my name is Scott. I live in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I am I've been a Get Set Up guide since last summer. And in addition to that, I do some freelance writing and photography. I dabble in all sorts of photography. I especially love nature photography, but I also have increasingly been using, over the last several years, been using my iPhone to take a lot of my photographs. And more recently, I discovered all the different lens attachments I can use to get some of the same effects I would with my digital camera and all the lenses that I've purchased for that. I really love being here on Get Set Up. I love the interactive learning that we've created. I learn as much as all of you do, and I love the community that we're building here. We're here for you. We're here to help you learn useful skills from people like you, people who are also older adults and have faced some of the same learning curves when it comes to technology. We learn from each other. So it's great when we can see you on camera. If you aren't on camera but feel comfortable coming on, that would be great. It helps us really develop a nice social connection for everybody. We are recording this, as we always do, for internal quality control purposes, but we also make those available to you on demand, those recordings. So please feel free to email us at help@getsetup.io if you'd like to get a copy of the recording. If you are joining us by live stream, welcome. We're happy that you're following along. I encourage you in the future to register for a class so that you can interact in real time with the other learners and with the guide, ask questions and so forth. And Get Set Up, finally, is not paid to promote any specific products. I will be mentioning a few today, but I'm just letting you know of these for your own information and not to advertise for any particular brand.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
When you go to the subject about the link, can you go slow down, because I cannot catch up really fast.
Oh, sure. I will certainly do that.
Yeah. Because I love to take a picture with my cell phone, but I don't know how to the link and something like that. I saw on the Facebook they talk about the extra link, but I'm so scared. I don't want to do anything like that.
Okay, Twee. Yeah. Feel free to stop me and ask questions too. So, yeah. Okay, so what we will talk about today is what these smartphone lens kits do and what they don't do. And we'll understand effects that each of these lens attachments will give you when you take a photograph. And we'll also talk about where you can find them and how much you should expect to spend if you go ahead and order them. If there is anything else that you were really interested in learning about today, you can tell me right now or drop it in the chat. Anything in particular that interested you in this class or anything you'd like to find out more about regarding lens attachments? Oh, okay. Well, as I mentioned, feel free to holler anytime you have a question over the next hour or so, and I'll be happy to tell you what I know. Okay, so there are several reasons to consider a smartphone lens kit. And, for starters, I will say that especially if you've got a newer smartphone, the cameras on those have become increasingly sophisticated to the point where the difference between what you can do with a standard digital camera for consumers and what you can do on a smartphone is really narrowing. They are really capable, but one thing that they may not be able to do are some of the things that you typically have needed a special lens for a digital camera. If you're using a DSLR, which is a digital camera that allows you to switch lenses, use multiple lenses on it. You may be able to do a telephoto zoom, so you're really zooming in on a subject, or a macro shot where you home in on a very tiny object or creature like an insect and really magnify it. You've always needed really expensive lenses to do that. And these lens attachments for smartphones mimic all of that. And in a way that is very inexpensive to you. A lot of these lens kits cost as little as $25. And so you're not going to be breaking the bank by buying those. It allows you to get the types of shots that you otherwise would have to buy a lens that might cost hundreds, even up to $1,000 or more to be able to achieve with a digital camera. One thing though, I mean, these things are not miracle workers, so they are not going to improve the picture quality of your phone's camera. If you're using a phone that will take pictures at say 12 megapixels, these lenses won't improve that in any way. You're still going to get that same general resolution. It's going to depend on the sensor in your phone's camera, again, the number of megapixels and so forth. So it will be able to give you different effects, but not necessarily any increased or enhanced picture quality. That will be important if, say, you want to print a picture and really enlarge it to a big size. If you're only taking it at 12 megapixels, there's only so large you can go with a shot like that, no matter what kind of lens you're using. But most phones, that said, most phones are taking pretty high quality pictures anymore. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue for you. So what you want to look for when you are buying some of these, and I'm going to show you some specific kits that have been getting high marks on some of the consumer websites, is ease of use. You want to make sure that it's not real cumbersome to try to attach to your phone and use at any time you want to do so. You want a storage case for them, and most of them will come with a storage case, and you want to go with a trustworthy brand. And these are pretty new products, so I don't know that any brand has been able to establish itself as the Coca-Cola or Apple of smartphone lens kits, but there are some that are, as I said, getting some pretty favorable reviews. And I will include these in the class notes that I send out afterward, but there are some brands that have been getting some good buzz, and I've listed them here. The one that I have purchased is not among these. I got a different brand that I am somewhat satisfied with. I'm still kind of learning my way around a couple of the specific lenses, but I'm not totally disillusioned with it either. But these get ranked pretty much at the top of every list you read. One of them is Zenvo Pro Lens Kit. That one seems to rank number one on every list I've seen. So that might be one to look for. Kopedvik is another one that I see a lot. And again, I'll list all of these in those class notes, so you have those as reference. They generally all pretty much include the same basic lenses. Some may have a few additional ones, but some of the key lenses are going to be pretty consistent across the board. So when you order them, they will come. I ordered mine online. You can go to a Best Buy probably, or another electronics store, and probably find some of these, but it's really easy to order them on Amazon or even on the Best Buy website. And they'll come in a little box or case like this. And you'll see all these lenses that tuck very easily into here, and you'll have a little clip that will go with it. And the lenses will include, and I'll walk through what each of these does: telephoto and macro and fisheye. Kaleidoscope will give it a really nice kaleidoscopy look that I'll show you some examples of. CPL is circular polarizing lens. And what that does is basically work almost like a pair of sunglasses over your eyes. It will really deepen the color, get out some glare, things like that. Starburst will just take lights like street lights or even some falling sunlight, say late in the day, and sort of give it a little bit of a light burst that is really interesting. And then a radial filter will just sort of look like you're zooming in very fast into your subject. So there is a blur on all the edges of the photo. Hard to describe that, but when I show you an example, it'll become clearer. So I want to stop for a minute and just show you what this looks like. And to do that, I think I'm going to have to turn off my background for a minute. So let me get out of that so you can see what I'm doing here. Here is my iPhone, and here is my lens kit, which I have here. And I'm going to take a lens out, and I have this clip, and this is going to fit right over one of my smartphone lenses. I happen to have a phone with 3 different lenses on it, but a lot of us have just a single camera lens on our smartphone, and this will work on that. And I'm going to take this lens and just I take the cap. It comes with a cap. I take the cap off, and I just simply screw it into the slot here, and I then take it and place it right over the lens like so, and it just sticks there like that. So very easy to attach these. And most of them will come with those clips. I have seen a few that will actually, it's like some sort of adhesive or something, I guess, that sticks right over the lens so you don't have the clip. But most of them are going to look like this. Okay. All right. So let's walk through some of the most common attachments that you'll find. And the first one is the telephoto lens. And you can see it's just, this is one from my kit that I just snapped a quick picture of, but very tiny and easily attached to the lens. And this allows you to zoom in on an object that is far away, and you can magnify it. So you can say, take a picture of a bird that looks like you were closer to it than you were. And a good example of that might be something like this. Here you've got somebody over here trying to take the picture, but say you're on the other side and you want to get closer to this fox. You snap one of those lenses over, or attachments over your lens, and you can get a little closer like that. Now, at some point, you're going to lose the quality or the definition, even with that attachment. So you're only going to be able to get in so far, but this is still much better than what you would get otherwise. And if you've ever noticed on a smartphone, even with a single lens, you can go on there and zoom in just by sticking your fingers on the screen and just spreading the fingers out. And I can let me show you an example of that if you've never tried this. I'm going to open up my phone screen for a minute and show you what that looks like. So if I open up my camera like that, I can say, let's look at this glass of water here, and say that this is really far away from me. I can take two fingers, place them right on the screen, and spread them apart and zoom in like that. And if you've got a newer phone, you may have a telephoto zoom that does this for you. These lens attachments will do that even more without sacrificing the quality. If, say, this is a fox and he's standing like 50 yards away from me and I did this, it would, on a single lens camera, reduce the quality of the photo. So with that attachment, I get a much improved result. So that's how that telephoto lens works. Any questions on that, just for starters? No? Okay. So you also have a macro lens. And if you are interested in finding out more about macro photography, I actually do have a class that comes up periodically on that genre of photography. And what macro photography is just basically taking a picture of a small object and magnifying it. You, on a digital camera, would need a special lens to do that. But with this, you've got this little lens attachment, and it will basically magnify that object. You see a lot of people do this with insects, sometimes even with food, and other tiny objects. And this will allow you to get that same effect. And we're talking super magnified in some cases. So here's an example. This is a photo that was taken, say, normally. It may have had a macro lens here, but I doubt it. It was probably taken just with a regular phone lens. And here is a macro shot. And as you can see, you can get really in and get really in close, get all the details with a lot of magnification. And I can show you an example really quickly of one that I took recently of some of the cicadas that have been invading the mid-Atlantic where I live over the last month or so. If I can call this up, I can give you a little flavor for what that looks like. But these things have just been everywhere. Let me see if I can find one. Here we go. So my phone's a little behind, but that's one I took using that macro lens. They're much smaller than this, but I was able to magnify it a little bit. Let's see if this will tilt, but I guess it doesn't. Yeah, there we go. So it was hanging upside down like that, but I was able to do that using that macro lens. Okay. And then you have a fisheye lens, and a fisheye lens gives you a very distorted, ultra wide angle in your picture. And I'm sure you've seen pictures like this in the past. If you're unfamiliar with the term fisheye, it essentially, I guess, is talking about mimicking what a fish would see based on the shape of the fish's eye. But it would give you a look like this. This is taken at a baseball stadium, and you can see things are a little curved and distorted here. And sometimes, depending on how far away your object is, you might get this frame around it, which is kind of hard to avoid. The best thing you could do in some cases is to just, in photo editing, crop this so that you're just getting the picture here and not getting this frame around it. But it's almost like looking at something through a crystal ball or a globe or something, if you will. And here's another example using that. And I get this sometimes even with a fisheye lens or a wide angle lens that I'm using on my digital camera. So sometimes it's hard to avoid this. But as I mentioned, you can always try to get as much as you can into view here and then just go into your editing mode and crop so that you're just getting the image itself in there. And that's another example of a good fisheye shot. Yeah. Okay. And if you have some other questions at any time, just feel free to unmute as I talk, as I said. Okay. So again, just attach that fisheye lens and you'll get this result on your phone. So there is the kaleidoscope lens too that came with the, at least the kit that I bought. And you can see here how this is kind of angled here within the lens. And when you attach that, you can rotate it within that clip to create images with various colors and symmetrical patterns. And you'll get something along the lines of this. So this is kind of surreal, but this was probably just one or two chess pieces. And by using that kaleidoscope effect, you get a result like this. And here is one that was really done effectively just in a building of some sort, like an office building or something. So it really almost turns it into some kind of abstract design. This is one that a Get Set Up member took Detlef, who comes to a lot of my classes. And he got so excited when he took this class and right away got online and ordered himself a lens kit. And he just started using it as soon as it came in the mail. And this is one of the kaleidoscope shots that he took. And he shared that with me. But you can see here, it's just sort of repeating some of these. I think there were probably just 2 of these birds here, and it just mimicked or duplicated them in a kaleidoscope type way. So when you attach that, you can just move it just to give you an idea again of what this will look like. Let me stop my share for a minute. And when you put it in that clip and it's on your phone, can I get rid of my background for a minute? What I'll do is simply move, just sort of, if you can see this. Sorry, my camera is really not wanting to work today. Okay. Let me see if I can get it to work. It doesn't want to. Well, sorry about that, folks. My camera seems to have conked out. So I don't know why that is not working, but well, there we go. All right. So what will happen here is I'll just attach this and you'll see the lens in here, and I will just, as I'm looking through my phone, I'll just, whoops, spin that around. And get that different kaleidoscope type effect. So the more you turn it, the more kaleidoscope you get there, essentially. All right. Okay. And then you have that circular polar filter that I mentioned. And that, as I said, is going to reduce the glare on reflective surfaces. It's going to really deepen the blue in a sky, and even maybe deepen the blue in water or the color of water. So you'll get in effect something like this. Once you put that over your phone lens, you'll take a photo like this and it will turn into something like this. Think of yourself as like looking up in the sky and then putting on a pair of sunglasses, and you'll see that same result with your polar lens. And I really use the polarizer a lot on really bright sunny days because I just get much better results, much deeper color. And so that can really come in handy when you've got a lot of glare. Here's another good example of how that would help. If you see something like this, this is kind of a late afternoon, maybe early evening shot, a lot of glare there. You're still going to have that bright sun flare when you put on the polarizer, but you're going to get much clearer results in the water and just a lot more definition. So that's when that polarizer can really come in handy. And then, as I mentioned, you have that star filter, and that star filter produces what really looks like a flare of some sort from street lights or bright lights of some sort, say from cars, lamps, things like that. And you can even see what it looks like there. It's got all this grid essentially on it that produces that. So take a shot like this. This is a photo that I took in Amsterdam, probably about 6 or 7 years ago. At nighttime, I was really trying to practice nighttime photography because I had not done a lot of it. And I got an okay effect. I mounted my camera. This I took with a digital camera, but I mounted it on a tripod. I could do this with a smartphone now too. But you see, I've got the street lights there and they look okay. And they make some nice reflection in the water. But look at what happens if you use one of these star filters. Look at what happens to the street lights here. Looks like you have a bunch of stars there, essentially. And all you need to do is attach that to your fastener, your clip on your, and attach that to your smartphone lens, and you'll get that effect. So that can be really nice and really pretty. Here's another example where you get that. And here, even if you see, say, a descending sun in the late afternoon, early evening, you can get that little sort of starry sunburst like that. And then you've got the radial filter, and that really creates a motion blur on the outer edges of the photo, and it puts more emphasis on the subject itself. It's just another sort of special effect that you can get for a photo, and it would look something like this. These are a couple of photos that I just took in my front yard in the flower bed. You can see here, this is a, I'm trying to remember the name of the flower. My wife is a gardener in the family, so she would know it, but you can see here that everything else on the outskirts just kind of blurs inward, zooms in almost, but the flower itself is really clear. Didn't get quite as solid effect with these geraniums here, but still you can see in the center, it's really nice and clear. And on the edges, it looks like either it's zooming in or it's bursting out, but very different effect. There's another sort of failed attempt on my part to do it. This one didn't turn out quite as well, but so for some things it's not going to work, but for flowers, I just felt like it worked really well. Okay. So that's generally a run through of what those lenses will do in a basic lens kit. And, you know, you can go to Amazon, as I mentioned, that's probably one of the easiest places to find them. Best Buy, you could probably even go to a department or a store like Walmart's website or Target and do a search for something like this, and you should be able to find them. So from there, questions I can answer. Did anybody know these even existed?
Scott,
Yeah, Leslie.
so this is kind of interesting. When I mentioned to my husband that I was going to be attending the class, and like I said, he is a photographer, not by trade or anything, he just enjoys it. He actually got me some clip-on lenses at the dollar store. And so he was just clipping it onto my phone to show me this is what a fisheye looks like. And, you know, this is what that looks like. And so he's like, you go ahead and play with that, and then we'll see about getting you a kit. but I didn't realize they would have them at the dollar store.
I didn't either.
Oh, yeah.
That
think
is
there were-
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think there were 2 or 3 of them in there. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, obviously not going to get real quality pictures, but right now I'm not going to get quality pictures anyways because I am still learning photography, but just something to play with and see how that effect works.
Yeah. That's good to know, because I think if you went out and went to like a dollar store, some discount store, and just got, a kit that maybe has 2 or 3 of these, you could just get used to attaching them to the phone and get a feel for how they work. And then you can spend a little more money and go out and buy a kit. And I did not see anything really, really pricey in the search that I looked. Like anything like this, they'll probably push some that are up in the $60 range maybe, but I don't believe you have to spend that much to be able to get an effect like this.
And just another quick question, I would assume that because we're planning on maybe getting a different phone for me because my phone has kind of exceeded its life, but I can just switch and change, use the same lenses for different phones and maybe even on my iPad.
You know what? That is a good question. I don't know how well those work on an iPad, to be
Okay.
honest with you. I wish I had my iPad handy. I will confess that I'm not really knowledgeable about picture taking with an iPad, because my iPad is a dinosaur in the Apple world. I think I have like an iPhone or a iPad Air Model 2 or something from like 2012 that actually is on its last legs. But it took really lousy pictures, so I never really bothered to use it. From what I understand, the newer iPads do take some really nice pictures now, but I've never bothered to use mine for that. And in the meantime, the iPhone itself has really advanced quite a bit. But I don't see why it wouldn't work on an iPad if it's, yeah. One thing to look for though is you might, when you're purchasing one of these kits, you might want to make sure and they'll have descriptions, like if you're looking on Amazon, it'll have descriptions on the interchangeability of them, so that if you find something that says this is only for Android phones or only only for iPhones, then you know that unless you want to be locked into an iPhone for as long as you're going to want to use these lenses, or an Android phone, you might want to look for something that is a little more device agnostic, so to speak. Yeah. And there are, from what I've noticed in the shopping that I've done, most of them are pretty usable on multiple devices. So there aren't that many that are just, say, like Samsung exclusive or iPhone exclusive. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Bright, you had a question? Whoops, I think she froze up. Looks like it may not just be me with the problem with the maybe a network thing of some sort, but hopefully she'll come back on shortly. Or feel free to type a question in the chat, but okay. All right, any other questions I can answer? Okay. Twee, does that seem any less intimidating for you now?
Yes.
That's good.
Like the way you say when you order at Amazon, you have to be careful. That is my fear is so scary now.
Yeah. Luckily on Amazon, they usually And even if you would go to say like Verizon, like the Verizon store, I've never checked, but I would not be surprised if you could find a lot of these lens kits, even on like a on Verizon's website, Verizon Wireless or AT&T, and they would probably work okay. But even then, they should give you pretty thorough descriptions on the websites themselves of how they work, what types of phones they'll work with, and so forth. So, yeah.
I try. Try tonight.
Okay, that sounds good. Bright, are you able to get through now, or? Yeah. Well, if you want, you can type a question in the chat and I can check that. It doesn't look like the audio's working right now for you, but anyway. In the meantime, let me just give you some key takeaways here. These lens kits, again, they add picture taking capabilities to your smartphone that allow you to save money you'd otherwise have to spend on a high-end camera and some lenses. And even if you can get a fairly inexpensive DSLR digital camera, the lenses are what can really set you back a little bit. And I have spent in the past, up to $500 or $600 on a new lens for my camera. And I'm a cheapskate. That is not as expensive as what some people will spend on them. This allows you to do that with your smartphone for a lot less. And remember, it's not going to necessarily improve the resolution of the picture, the quality of the picture itself, but it will allow you to get different effects. And those attachments can include telephoto to magnify things that are distant to you, and macro to magnify things that are very close, very small. Fisheye for those interesting distortions, and kaleidoscope and more. And remember to, shop wisely, stick with the high-rated brands, and make sure that what you're ordering will work with your phone. Okay. So if you do end up getting a great lens kit and taking some pictures that you're really excited about, we always love to see what you've created. You can always share that experience on your own Facebook or Instagram account if you have that. And if you don't mind giving us a shout out, we always appreciate it to let people know where you learned how to do it. Our hashtag is GetSetup. And you can also always drop Liz on our team a line to let her know or share with her what you've created. She's always looking to showcase those on our own social media outlets, as well as on our blog. Just to let you know about some other artistic classes that we've got coming up. We have one on creating digital art using some tools online. We have one on creative writing, and then a class on apps that help you learn to play the piano. And my next class is tomorrow. I have a class on Photoshop, and this is an intermediate class. We also have a Photoshop for beginners class. So this is the next step in learning even more that you can do with that particular tool if you happen to be a Photoshop subscriber. And then I have my weekly photography Q&A, which it's billed as a Q&A, but essentially we're just getting together to share tips on photography, talk about things we might like to learn, things we might like to buy for our cameras or our smartphones. So it's really just a social hour. Love to have you join us for that. It's a fun afternoon outing. I also want to let you know about a special event we have this week. We have a guest speaker, Pete Souza, who is who was the official White House photographer for both President Barack Obama and Ronald Reagan. So he did 2 separate stints in the White House. And he'll be talking about the picture. He'll share some of the pictures he's taken, some of the really iconic shots of both presidents, both administrations. He'll tell some stories behind those. And he'll also answer some questions. There will also be a VIP period after this is over at probably 9 o'clock Eastern time. So if you submit a question to Liz at getsetup.io, you can be part of that VIP event as well. So this will be Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And I hope you can join us. You can register now. There are still lots of seats available. Love to see you there. This should be a really interesting hour.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
I have a question. I just looked on in Google,
Yeah.
and I saw, I cannot pronounce, but I spell for you, GODEFA.
Yeah, that's the brand that I got.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's not bad. But I'll send you that list of other brands that you can look at too.
Okay.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah. Okay. Also, would love to have you join us for the photo challenge of the week. This is a weekly, of course, a weekly event that we have now. It's a social hour for all intents and purposes, but each week we have a different theme, and we each send a picture in that fits with that theme for the week. We tell the stories behind the photo we're sharing, where we took it, what we were doing, how we happened to stumble across this picture, things like that. And then for fun, we vote for our favorite image, and the top vote getter will receive a prize from Get Set Up. So it's great fun. And this week's theme is sunsets. So if you are eager to go out on a beautiful evening and take a sunset picture tonight, that would be great. Or if you already have a sunset picture that you want to send in, please do. This is the email address you send those into, and they're due tomorrow at midnight for this week's event. And we get together Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern time, and just to talk about the photographs we're sharing. We do this every Friday. If you do not have a sunset picture you're able to share, or you're shy about sharing it, no problem. You can still join us just to see what other people have submitted. So it's a nice way to just talk about photography with other shutterbugs out there. So I hope you can join us for that. And we do this, as I said, every week. Next Friday, a week from this coming Friday, our theme will be cars. So if you have a car, a hot rod or a vintage car, anything like that, a picture that you want to share, you can participate in that. And you can start sending those in now too. So I'll share with you some class notes that will include the names of all those brands I mentioned of these photo kits. And if you like the class, you can recommend it to a friend via Facebook or email. I'll include some other class suggestions and a link to the full Get Set Up class schedule, as well as a link to our feedback form. And you can rate the class on a 5-star scale, and also offer us any comments, anything you want to tell us about what you liked about the class, what you didn't like about the class, what you think might make it better. Those are always really valuable to us. So don't hold back. Let us know what you think. And also, if you have a suggestion for another class you'd like to see us offer, something you'd like to learn, and don't see us offering any instruction on it on our class schedule, let us know. Just drop a little note in here, or you can always let us know via email too. And I'll tell you how to do that in a sec. When you do book a class, you can easily invite a friend to join you. We set it all up so you can easily click and notify them either via Facebook, WhatsApp, or email. It's all set up for you. And again, to suggest that new class, if you don't want to do it on the feedback form, just email us at help@getsetup.io. We're always going through all those messages to look for class suggestions. Also, if you would like to host an interest group on Get Set Up, and I know a couple of you are already doing that or getting set to do that, we have interest groups on all kinds of topics, from gardening to pets to cooking, you name it. Let us know. We'd love to do all the heavy lifting for you. So you just show up and sort of serve as the MC, if you will. It's very easy to do that via email, or you can also go to our website, getsetup.io, and there is a space at the top of the page where it says apply to host a session, and you can just click on that and fill out the form to get started, and we'll get that set up for you. So just let us know. And we also are always pursuing partnerships with different organizations. We have many of these partnerships with senior living communities, groups like the YMCA, assisted care facilities. So if you would like to talk to us about partnering with a group you belong to, about delivering classes to the other people in that community, just let us know by emailing us at help@getsetup.io. And again, if you would like a recording of this session, you use that email address to request it, and we'll get that to you. So appreciate you all being here, and hope you can get your hands on some fun lens attachments to start having some fun with picture taking on your phones. And I hope to see you all again real soon.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.